This is chapter 15 from Jaguar. We're starting on page 158. "We no longer have reverse gear," Silver said. "Can it be fixed?" Flana asked. "I'm afraid not, at least not here." "So what do we do?" Doc asked. "Follow the tributary and hope there's a place to turn around up ahead. And if there isn't, there has to be." Silver climbed up to the wheelhouse and started the boat back up the tributary. By the next morning, nothing had changed. If everything, the tributary had narrowed. Doc and I went up to the wheelhouse to relieve Silver at the helm. He had been up all night, and he didn't resist when Doc suggested that we take over for a while. I led Silver to the cot in his cabin. Scarlet followed us and landed on her perch. "This is all my fault," Silver said. I told him that it wasn't, but I didn't think he'd heard me before he fell asleep. Doc was sitting in the captain's chair with his good hand resting on the helm. Insects bounced against the windshield, trying desperately to get inside for a bite to eat. "I'm sorry I got you into this, Jake," Doc said. "I should have insisted that you go back." "I didn't want to go back." "I know." I had been waiting to ask him this question for weeks. And I knew that now wasn't the best time to get into it with him, but he was the one who brought it up. "Why didn't you want me down here with you?" "Because of situations like this," Doc said, pointing up ahead. "The danger." "There's more to it than that." Doc nodded. "You're right," he said softly. "There's a lot more." I waited, and I started to feel guilty for pushing my issue. Doc was tired and he was scared. I was scared. "Maybe we should talk about this later," I said. "No, you've been waiting long enough. I just don't know if I can explain it. I'm not sure if I understand what's going on myself." "You have to, Doc." "I'll try," he said. "When we came back from Kenya and moved to Poughkeepsie, I thought that everything would be fine. I thought that I'd work on my field notes and you'd go to school. In the summer, maybe we'd take off and go someplace and come back in the fall so you could go back to school. That was the plan, anyway. But after a month, I started to feel restless, and I knew it wasn't going to work." He looked at me. "To tell you the truth, Jake, if Bill hadn't called with this field project, I would have tried to get a project of my own." "You mean you would have just left me behind?" "Yes," he said. "I think I would have." I let this sink in for a minute, and it didn't feel very good. I thought we were partners. This is where it gets confusing for me. I was trying to be a good father and a good field biologist. I now realize that doing both at the same time may not be possible. Your mom understood this. That's why she stayed at the university and didn't go into the field. She was the one making sure you got to school, that you went to the doctor and dentist, and that you had someone to talk to when you had a problem. She loved you very, very much. You are who you are because of Beth, not because of me. I let you down, Jake, and I let her down too." I started to protest, but he stopped me. "If we get out of this, we're going back to Poughkeepsie." "But your work." "No," he interrupted. "It's time I start acting like your father. The work can wait. You'll be out of high school in 3 years. That leaves plenty of time for me to get back into the field. Beth wanted you to have a formal education. You can't get one down here. I want to complete what she started. I owe her that. You're the best work we ever did." Beth saw that too, and I wish she were here so I could tell her. I started to cry. I couldn't help myself. My father joined me. "If only Silver could see us now," I said. Doc laughed and wiped his tears away. "Yeah, he'd be real impressed." "I don't think you'll be happy in Poughkeepsie," I said. "Poughkeepsie looks pretty good right now." I had to agree with him on this, but I knew Doc well enough to realize that his resolve could change overnight. All it would take was another field project, another animal in trouble, and what would be gone? And he would be gone. "What about Flana?" I'm sorry I didn't tell you about her before you got down here. I should have. In fact, Flana asked me to, but I didn't know what to say or how you would take it. It was selfish of me." "So you love her?" "I think so, but I don't know where it's going to take us. She's a remarkable woman. I'm not sure she deserves to be stuck with someone like me." "She could do a lot worse." "She could also do a lot better." "I like her," I told him, and I meant it. "I'm glad to hear that, Jake." A few hours later, Doc asked me to go below and get one of his handheld global positioning units we had on board. I brought it up and turned it on, but I had to wait for an opening before I could get a hit off of one of the satellites orbiting thousands of miles above us. After I got a reading, Doc had me take the wheel so he could calculate where we were on the map. "Silver's hutch was right," he said. "We're miles from where the tributary ends on the map. We've crossed the preserve boundary and we're headed towards the center in a roundabout way. Not that it will do us much good." "I think it will open up," Silver said from behind us. We turned around. He didn't look much better after 4 hours of sleep. "What makes you think so?" Doc asked. "Because I was right about the tributary leading to the center of the preserve," he said, but he didn't look at all confident. We stared at the map as if it might help us in some mysterious way. That afternoon, Silver called all of us into the wheelhouse to discuss our options. As we talked, he continued to steer the boat upstream. Doc wanted to know if we could widen the channel and make our own turnaround. "We'd bottom out in the shallows," Silver said. "What about taking the Zodiac back down the river and getting help?" Flana suggested. "We're beyond help up here," Silver said. Any boat big enough to pull us out would find itself in the same situation we are." He paused as if he were reconsidering the idea. "I guess we could start ferrying people down the river. The Zodiac will carry 3 of us. It will be a hellish trip, but at least—" Scarlet screamed and started hitting the window with her beak. Silver quickly reduced power. All of us looked out of the window, trying to see what she was so upset about. We couldn't see anything, just the same narrow channel crowded with vegetation and trees. There was nothing blocking our way. "What's gotten into you?" Silver asked. Scarlet started screaming even louder and hit the glass so hard I thought it would break. Silver slid the side window open and Scarlet took off through as if she were being chased by a happy eagle. She flew straight down the channel and disappeared around the bend. "I guess she didn't like the idea of us using the Zodiac to get out of here," Silver said. "I can't say that I blame her." I stared out through the open window, and what I didn't see amazed me. "The insects are gone," I said. They weren't totally gone, but there were several million fewer than there had been a few minutes earlier. Flana put her hand outside. When she pulled it back in, there were only a half-dozen gnats and mosquitoes crawling on it. "Now that's what I call an improvement," she said. Silver eased the boat around the next bend. "Well, I'll be—" About 300 yards in front of us was an opening with bright light shining through it. We stared in stunned silence as it drew nearer. When we passed through, we found ourselves on a small lake. Silver cut the engine and started the anchors down. Everyone stepped out of the wheelhouse. In front of us was a sheer, rocky wall about 30 feet high. A waterfall poured down from the top. Clinging to the side of the wall was a flock of red and yellow macaws. When they saw the boat, they took off, disappearing into the green canopy surrounding the little lake. All but one, that is. Scarlet still clung to the wall, wondering why her new friends had abandoned her. To the left of the wall was a sandy beach. Flana, Doc, and I hugged each other. "I knew it was here," Silver said. "I just knew it." The only one of us who didn't seem surprised or moved by the discovery was Raoul. He went back to the boat to get the binoculars and started scanning the shore. Silver checked one of the anchor cables. "It's deep," he said. "It must be some kind of natural sinkhole." Doc went to the wheelhouse and brought back the map and the global positioning system. He got a reading immediately and marked a small red circle on the map. The lake was almost exactly in the center of the preserve. He looked up at Silver. "That was some hunch," he said. Silver was too excited to respond.